True. Do I want to throw my job live on air right now? Maybe for finals. Look, if Ken can make it to finals, we're in a live arena, I'll say it. I'll just full send. But until then, we'll just have to keep theory crafting what we could say for Direwolves. Well, yeah, without us knowing what's going on, we'll just keep talking our way through this one. I suppose from a sense of what you've seen so far today already, is it very much on par with what you're sort of experiencing in solo queue, or just it's players playing what they have as like their own interpretation of what's strong?
Yeah, I think solo queue and competitive are very, very similar. Like, it's the same bot lanes, the same like mid lane matchups. Like, there's not really like any champ in solo queue. Oh, besides like, you know, you're gonna have like your Katarinas and your Talons and stuff that will like never be in competitive.
Yeah.
But it's very similar in like every other lane of like what I've been experiencing. I think that it's almost as bloody as well. Like, I think in Ost we're hitting like, if I checked the stats earlier, we're at like more than a kill per minute. I think we're the bloodiest region in the world right now. That's with like an average game time of 29 minutes, which is quite insane. But we are on a small sample size. We'll have to see after this week what it's like.
Well, that's it. It's like us talking about blue side being insanely broken. Thankfully now Bliss have broken that trend, so nothing's going to change at all. It's going to be a case of, yeah, blue side is broken, but red side can win as well, which is good news for us. Quick update on our end. One of the players DC, which means that they remake the entire lobby. The first 2 bans on either side is going to remain the same, so what you saw is still what you will be getting, which was a whole bunch of AD carries being taken off the board. I guess that leaves us to think and decide what is still up to take away. Our thoughts before that was probably chucking a Rumble and then maybe another AD carry before first pick goes to Direwolves. Would you think anything else?
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset as you. I think that like this is probably a bot lane focused matchup. Like, you want to get the favorable bot lane because I think that we've seen Katsuri and Nebula have both really good games on on the Lucian themselves. So, like, each one of them is going to be prioritizing it. We'll see what the support matchup looks like because you can really go anywhere. We'll see if there's going to be like the double support items in bot lane. We're going to see if there's going to be Nautiluses coming out. We're going to have, you know, honestly, like, I want to see like a really boring like Nautilus versus Braum matchup.
You want to see a boring matchup. You've heard it here first. An absolute zinger of a comment from yourself there. As we are back into the game, thankfully, we can continue the theory crafting of what will get played, what will get denied, and who has actually won the draft as a whole. There are both those AD carries that you mentioned before having an absolute barn burner of a week 1. Let's see if they can replicate that once again, as it's going to be a Senna being denied away from Direwolves, preventing any kind of the shenanigans that we saw in that game before. Certainly could be another one of those that rises to the very top. LeBlanc instead of the Rumble. Now the question becomes, does River play it?
Yeah, I know River does play the Rumble, but also on the other hand, he's very comfortable, as we've seen last week, playing the Riven into the Rumble. So we'll have to see if he's going to end up picking that early, if Arn decides to take it now.
Yeah, Direwolves not opting for it, not deeming it to be a first pick worthy option. I'm going to decide then, okay, well, do we go for it? Is that what we need? Is this how we're going to look to try and find our way into a really strong spot? We are going to consider some other champions, especially Nebula. This will be 3 games then if it is to go into the bot lane, 3 games in a row on that champion. Only a death in each game. It's a pretty strong K there to start your entire split with, and definitely going to make sure that Katsuri has to find a strong answer into it.
Yeah, this is like a really classic draft scenario as well. Like, you see Lucian is up, but there's also answers to Lucian up right now. So Direwolves decided to take the Xin Zhao away, which they probably consider the strongest jungler on the patch right now. We'll see if Direwolves want to take away the Varus here, or like even the Aphelios, because I think the Lulu answer is really good into Lucian. But we'll have to see what they, as a team, like to play.
Yeah, whether or not be the Nautilus for a boring lane or the Lulu for the denial. That's what they've opted for. So Aphelios as well as Lulu there to try and beat the powerhouse of an early game Lucian-Nami combo. Let's see then, where do Iron go with this one? Because still, some of those really strong champions have fallen through the cracks. We've not got a jungler to match into the Xin yet, which you would imagine would seem like their go-to before more can be pinched from the pool. What would Foreigner decide to go for instead? I hold my breath. Yone's come out.
One to seal.
I can see the biggest smile on your face right now.
Honestly, it's really surprising to see Yone pick here. I thought they would match the jungler because I think that Jarvan is decent into the Aphelios, but we just have the Yone coming out with a straight blind pick, so we'll see what Foreigner is looking to play with an AD mid laner.
That is wild to me that they would have felt that it needed to be taken away or it was going to get denied. Is that their wild card? Is that their ticket to try and upset this one? I know that Jovi is insane at the champion. Let's see if he can put it to good use and if you've got all the one-liners ready to spitfire out.
I mean, we've seen how Chovy plays on this champ, and like he's just one syllable away from being Chovy, so...
He's just a little bit down the alphabet.
Yeah, he's just a bit further down.
Let's see then what they can do into this one. You mentioned AP junglers to try and complement this one. Direwolves are very much sharing that same sentiment. They denied the Lilia first of all. As for Ion, they've banned away 2 mid laners that could try and make this Yoni's life a little bit difficult. Azir and Orianna, no scaling, no control to try and disable their ability to dash and hack.
I think Ion has 2 options here. They go with like the Vi, Jarvan jungle and play the dive, and we've seen Doraemon's already proficient on the Gragas top, but he also has the Rumble and Gwen as an AP option. Or if they want to play like the Karthus, the Brand, like these kind of junglers, and just lock in another 80 top laner.
It does beg what would be left for Foreigner to play in his competitive history. He has predominantly been AD or just tank / bruiser. I think the one AP game that springs to mind that wouldn't be Lilia would be Diana. Whether or not Diana feels like it fits the bill right now, or if you just were to continue just being a bit of a bruiser and a tank and say, hey, have you forgotten about this old fella? Good old Maokai comes back out to play.
Yeah, this is a really solid pick. It acts as like a pseudo AP champion, but also like it enables Ion's team fight, which is like what they really need right now.
Certainly does. The ability to dash on in and set fights up from afar. Saplings for the cheeky little wards, if you will, too. What do Direwolves feel like is the necessary bit of tech to try and open up this game? Then they actually opt for the Ahri. Yet to see an Ahri this split, but excited to see it in action once again. And a Cassante currently being looked at, as they have to wait to figure out what their 5th pick matchup is.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Doraemon wants to play into the Cassante here. He has complete field. He can do whatever he wants here. He can go AP, he can go AD, he can play any matchup that he's comfortable with. We'll have to see like what he as a player wants.
And we are looking at a Fiora right now, and I'm saying if you're playing that in a game 1, you're feeling confident. You are the GOAT for a reason, opting against it and saying, did you see how good my Gragas was last week? We're running it back once again. We're going to make it work. And look, I don't mind it. I guess it's going to be a bit of a stalemate up there in the top lane of them just regenning, tanking, and waiting for jungle intervention, which I would imagine is predominantly going to be looking at mid or bot, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say this is definitely going to be like a mid-bot focused game. I think that top lane is just going to be a bit of a farm fest. I would say like, I think this is Gragas favored when he goes AP. I'm not too like confident on my knowledge of the matchup, but we'll see how the junglers are able to impact the mid-bot sides of the map, because whichever mid or bot lane gets ahead will be able to take over this game.
It seems like a bit of a running narrative now where it's like, if your bot lane is better, you win. What would you attribute that to? Is it much more about the champions, or is it about the players piloting them, would you say?
I think it's definitely the champions. Like when Enchanted meta is around, like 80 carries just, they are lifted up a level. Like their ability to punish like missteps, like overextensions in team fights just like is extremely good. Normally you would see like supports being the carries that like snowball their mid laners or junglers by like roaming as a melee champ, but when they're playing Enchanters, it's all about making sure your AD carry is strong and able to perform in the mid-late game scenarios. Yeah,
it's always exciting when, you know, drafts can change in that fashion and sort of players have to adapt as a result. I suppose let's talk about the comps as a whole then. What are the win conditions that both teams are hoping to achieve? You already mentioned a little bit, I suppose, towards Ion, so let's start with them. The Maokai, the Yone looking to work in tandem with one another, really give them that strong source of engage. Is it always going to be about front to back, so we're expecting them to just try and find picks?
I think Ion's comp is about having those, like, you want to have your side laners winning. They should have 2, like, prior side laners from how the solo lanes will go, and they want to, like, collapse and always have good positioning on team fights and objectives. I think if they do a straight front to back, like Lulu or Philios, especially if he has, like, that blue gun, he's just going to be gunning them all down and be very comfortable with the, like, how the positioning and how, like, open the team fights will be for him.
So I suppose then conversely, if we flip it around then in favor of Direwolves, they've got themselves the Aphelios and Lulu answer into this Lucian Nami, which you were already saying is a good pickup. But for the rest of the comp, with the Ahri, with the Cassante, is it all about them just trying to make sure that there is no flanking potential, that they can get the picks first?
I think a lot of this game will come down to how the polymorph is used, because like personally, like I think playing Yone into Lulu is extremely hard. A good bonus this season is that you can get tenacity from items like Wit's End now.
Yep.
So Yone normally wouldn't be able to like run tenacity in his runes, because you always want to go for like Alacrity plus Berserker Greaves to be able to maximize your Q cooldown. So it's really nice to know that like you have that tenacity option if you need it. and we'll just see how well like Lulu is able to peel his carries this game.
That is a big question. Let's load ourselves in then, Tally, for game number 2. Our second series of the night is up against, Ion taking on Direwolves. Both these teams hunting for even more points. Unfortunately for Direwolves right now, they started off their split against the heavy favourites. They will find themselves 1-0 down, as opposed to Ion, who managed to get that all-important victory, a clean 2-0 sweep into Fury. Now both teams find themselves head-and-head, and I suppose really we've already discussed this as a big matchup because it could certainly have implications on who actually qualifies for that top 6 standing.
Yeah, this is definitely a really important game for both sides. Like, one, for confidence to know that like, yeah, like our team is good, like I am good individually, and also for like how your standings go forward. You do have like a bit of leeway if you do drop games to like top teams or even bottom teams, because you know your like direct competition is already being defeated.
So let's pivot the conversation for a second whilst it is the early game. In particular, you know, level 1s, what is it that you think makes teams more inclined to go for level 1s? Because there's certainly been compositions where you think they have the best invade, they can certainly make a play here. Is it a tendency to not want to risk and like potentially lose the game right there on that play?
I think it's a lot to do with the double AD carry bot lanes. Like, if you have double AD carry bot lanes, like normally, like your Halo Blades, you're invading. Like it's about like Graves, it's about like splitting the map. It's not so much about like I'm afraid to like do X and Y, as we are doing heavy trading in top lane already.
We are doing a lot of trading as you're explaining all of that. You can see that River's certainly making sure that Doraemon's not going to get a free pass in this lane. It's looking like he is going the AP route with the Doran's ring starting, as well as the first strike. Is there anything else that really sits out for you? We've got the electrocute here from Emphis. Just looking to really make sure that, I guess, pocket pick versus pocket pick, he comes out on top.
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard now. Like in the past, you would see Ari going a lot for like Spellbook or like First Strike, but I think now with like the fact that the AP items are I think the flat numbers on AP items are like 100 to 120 almost every item, and like Ari has one of like the best ratios in like her Q. Like she can really abuse that. It's like going electrocute and having that kill pressure is like really nice for this champ now.
Let's see then who can get the most kill pressure in that same vein. Quickly looking at bot lane as well. No cleanse to be found. Barrier picked up by Katsuri. Ignite actually taken by Nebula. So all in on the idea that they are an early game bot lane pairing that wants to be aggressive and wants to punish you, much like Nebula mentioned in his own interview. But will he find that same amount of success into Chen Xuan? That is to be left to decide as Lisa jumps on in and instantly regrets his decision. He's already down to 40%. His bot lane really couldn't assist much more, but a caliber him from afar. And yeah, Lisa walks off worse for wear.
Yeah, he's just poking his head around bot lane. Like, not much is going to happen when they're respecting like that. Nice to know that they're able to get away with the full clear on Maokai as well. Xin has to go back to his camp, so Maokai is going to finish his clear earlier and have access to River and see what he can find.
Speaking of the River, that's where we find Foreigner at the moment, just hanging around his bot side. He's looking to try and pick up the blue buff first of all before he decides to hop into and see what is happening in this bot lane, which is a massive stacked wave, crashing now.
Yeah, normally
just keep it in there.
This is the point you'd see like, oh, like my jungler's come, he ganked earlier, now he's rediving to punish the summoners he got, but Ion did well to navigate that like level 3 gank, not lose any summoners, and be able to eat this wave.
They're certainly keeping it pushed back for the meantime, and I suppose from what I can tell, when you look at this one, it really isn't as easy for the Nami just to step up and hit that bubble. Obviously the polymorph going to be so strong on multiple levels here. Speaking of, good little cask in the top lane, making sure that River isn't able just to get free reign in these trades. Actually going to be ahead now, as he also is going to find some success in pushing that one in. Looks like both the junglers now are going to get themselves back for that first rush of item. 2 Ruby Crystals picked up by Foreigner. He's already deployed first here. With only the blue buff in hand, he's going to be looking now to see where Lisa is carving towards, which is that top side too.
Yeah, I mean, he's just grabbing himself a crab. Like he's going to be a bit ahead in tempo of Xin because of how Lisa looked for that gank, and I think that Zin's going to have a really hard time finding ganks because he's going to be constantly tracked from this point going forward.
Yeah, all those saplings on top of the walls are going to be a bit of a menace, right? You can see one position just atop as he's taking this grump right now. So even if they don't see you, they'll certainly get alerted to the fact that you're in that area. There's that first item spike you mentioned for Shovey, right? Already got those berserkers.
Yeah, this is the ideal first base you want to get. Like this is where Young like starts to take over matchups. Is when he gets so much cooldown in his Q, the move speed from Zerkers. Like he's very comfortable in his position. But really nice harass coming out of Emphis.
Yeah, definitely making sure he's doing his best to keep the Yone at bay. Otherwise, he gets a little bit too many invitations in for those fights. Suddenly, he is committing for that fight as a result of it. You can see that Ion is a two-man squad and it's going to peel away towards the Void Grubs, pick up one, and then maybe look to try and fight a second afterwards as Jovi jumps in. He's actually going to go for the all-in kill. It's just as easy as that. He's popped his head in, received a heal, and got first blood.
That is a very impressive run for Hex Flash. Like, that extra bit of damage from Nami is what's secured the kill there. Lisa has decided to start the Dragon instead of punish on the stack wave when they saw Nami mid. That's what I was worried about initially, with Nami going mid there. But, you know, it's all stars from Ion there.
Yeah, they seized the moment, they've taken their chances, and it's paid off beautifully for them. Foreigner's been able to secure 3 of the Void Grubs. They've got the first blood in mid. The trade-off for all of that, the transaction really is Direwolves pick up the first Dragon instead. So I think overall, yeah, Ion are going to be sitting quite content with how things have panned out in their favor. Just return to trading and Bruges just be bleeding all day.
I'm pretty sure if that Q landed, that would have been a kill. Straight into turret he goes.
Oh, big root in the bot lane right now as the Gravitum connects. Polymorph right afterwards, and look at Nebula as a result of that one. He's got both summoners, and he's going to be relying on Hex Flash burning all of his mana to try and get him topped up and healthy again.
He does have a cookie in pocket, but yeah, this is just like how the Lulu-Lucian matchup goes. Like, if you dash forward, you get Polymorph slowed. Oh, he's ulting him away, luckily. I wouldn't want to be near Xante when he's going to pop his ult.
No, certainly not next to a wall, especially we saw what Bio did in the last game, right? It just suddenly took you across on a bit of a magical journey. It wasn't one that you're having too much fun with as a result. So both junglers going to be quite content working their way to level 6, going for a bit of a clear. Both pretty evenly matched in terms of what they've been able to acquire so far. And I'm sure that'll be the big turning point, right? Once we've got those ultimates online, everybody starts to group up and roams like we saw Hex Flash do before become a little bit more common.
Yeah. Really cool thing we're seeing actually is the derp coming out in the Philios. Like, we're seeing after lethality changes that it's just flat amount now, like it doesn't scale. It's just straight armor pen, which is what it used to be like. And the Philios is one of the biggest abusers of this, as we're seeing all in top lane.
Hang on, is River going for it? Is River really doing it? He certainly is. This is a cheeky solo. He gets it done, gets some pressure for his team alleviated, and completely evens out the gold difference.
That's just River at work again. Doesn't matter what champ he's on.
Playing it like it's Riven, really, isn't it?
Probably is just like a better Riven, does more damage, tankier.
It's got the mobility, and then you can actually go, hang on a minute, I don't want to be the squishy anymore, switch back to being a full-on tank. But you're right, to your point before about the Aphelios changes, right? You can just spec into lethality, have all that early damage, and certainly contest with this Lucian rather than sort of say, oh, I just have to concede this minion, I have to lose this trade.
We'll have to see. I'm pretty sure he'll atomize into Kraken while just sitting on the Durf. Yeah, he's got the Noon Quiver already, so more than likely he's just going to build the Kraken and then go into Collector. I think there's a build where you do go Axiom, and you really abuse like how much armor pen you get from Aphelios and how you're able to have such a low ult cooldown when you get kills.
I've not heard that one, but that was a pretty exciting build. If you're just chucking out Moonlight Vigils on cooldown saying, look what ultimate combination I have today. And seeing if the team is ready for it.
I played a game of it myself, and it's like, do you remember like the 200 years compilations?
Yes, yes.
It's back.
Is it doing that? Is it because of the damage or just the frequency of casting?
Oh no, just the damage. Like if you crit on that lethality blue ult, it's just everyone dies.
And it's just GG. Splash damage galore. As Jovi, he's going to be doing a fair bit of that splash damage himself as well, especially once his clone is out. He takes it all back, and it's getting very close, especially with the assistance of those 3 Void Grub stacks, to make sure that those plates fall on down and the first turret goes in their favor too, and make sure that they still retain this gold lead, which to their credit they have, as we fast approach the 10-minute mark. And teams decide to rotate around, utilize their fantastic vision, which you can see Doraemon playing around right now, and say, well, let's see if we can full send fist the play to this side of the lane and get ourselves a cheeky second kill.
We'll have to see what Direwolves want to do about the Grub respawn, like if they want to contest it or if they're just going to trade for the bot lane. Like their top lane is strong, but I think like the gap that's happening right now mid makes like navigating this team fight and top side very risky, because if Yone wins this team fight, I think he just takes over the game.
Yeah, I think it'd be a very risky situation to take, and it might actually mean that they just decide to go for the bot lane play again onto a second dragon. Let's see if any pressure gets thrown towards River. We didn't really expect the junglers to put too much attention towards this one. Very much leave them on an island and let them fight their own battle. You see Florida once again just hovering in the mid lane, looking to see that vision is being cleared out. But will he get collapsed upon, or will he get punished for it? Dragging back his River, looking to try and get a kill once to get onto Doraemon underneath the tower. No care in the world, still drags him back! And one killer punch to get it done again. And he's not messing around, he's got no jet lag now.
I mean, I gotta give it to Doraemon. Like he's still trying to ego check him and outplay him in his trades, but River's just a bit too clean with it. Like these Qs are connecting, and like he's getting thrown out of tower range, and just like, you know, when you get hit by the QW combo with Cassandre, it's over.
You just look at your screen and say, yep, hands off keyboard. There's not much I can do about this one. Free Void Grubs to Ion, free going the way of Direwolves, given that Lisa was there, and the rest of Ion just not interested in that play whatsoever. The real kicker, though, becomes what happens to this next dragon. Jovi must be screaming at his team, I am strong, let's fight, let's make something happen, but Nevi needs to be careful, otherwise he has to take a bit of an awkward reset.
Huge chunk coming out. We'll have to see if the mid diff is enough to make up for what's happening in these side lanes right now, because River is salvaging what's happening top slide, and this bot lane trade has enabled them to enter River and get some vision on Dragon.
They must feel so strong though, surely now. Imperial Mandate, Kraken picked up massive advantage over the bot lane of Direwolves. They don't have that luxury just yet. And if you give that buff to Jovi, it was the difference for the first blood. It could certainly be the difference for this Dragon fight. But right now it is the Direwolves have the inline track, but some pretty nice deep vision. He's going to spot Lisa if he backs away towards his Raptors. You can see them pinging it on the mini-map right now. So let's see if there's any big rush and any major collapse from either side to make this one a reality.
I think the Direwolves have started this way too late. Like, Ion's bot lane's already come back. They've got double items. Like, the gap in strength on the boss side of the map right now is just way too big for Direwolves to think about contesting this.
TPs are there as well, and yeah, as you say, I mean, they started off, it's merely a leash, if anything. Foreigner's going to be there to pick up the pieces and continue their attempts to try and take that one on down. As the bot lane control is a battle for who can clear this wave quicker. Back towards the Dragon we go again. A TP is coming on in. This is River making sure that his 2-0 body is ready to fight with fire. Out goes the Culling, tickling onto Shen Xuan as Jovi jumps in with the Fate Steel, self-cast the Wild Growth. He goes back, he gets charmed. He's not found a kill, he flushes away. He's waiting for CDs to come across. He dashes across the water safety, and there's no one left to follow. A two-man rip back from River, and a failed flash from Doraemon that goes unpunished as he just body slams the safety anyway. Nobody is dying except for Katsuri, and the Dragon still goes the way of Direwolves.
Really lucky Direwolves got away with the Dragon here. This is probably like the consolation prize they got for how this team fight's happening, but it's really like unfortunate. Jovi's going to TP top, he's going to push it away. Probably see Emphis match with his own TP, or Jovi's going to get so much gold from these plates. As we do go into the replay, you can see like how this team fight plays. Like Ion are really attacking from all angles, and they manage to escape with like these little minuscule amounts of health, where like Yone gets out over the wall, Gragas splashes out, gets away. Like Direwolves were unable to capitalize on like these kills, while Ion just like found the gold and they found the kills.
Yeah, and completely isolated that Katsuri, right, as you saw on that replay there, but they stuck together as a strong band of four, and to their credit, I mean, they burnt a lot of summoners. Look how many flashes had to be burnt there by the side of Ion. Only Hexflash still having his one up and available. So there's a potential then for both Lisa and Emphis to work in tandem and say, look what we can try and get accomplished whilst those timers are down.
Yeah, this is when like you have to talk as a team, like, all right, guys, like the next 5 minutes is like really important. Like this guy doesn't have splash. Like we need to set up like this play to be able to punish him. Like Lucian doesn't have cleanse against Aphelios, which is like something you normally see because like the purple gun setup is just way too strong. So we'll see if they are going to punish that Lucian flash.
No punish onto Chen Xuan. There he goes to the face shake onto a Doraemon, waiting and wondering would anything happen. He had the ultimate ready to try and knock him back, but he's just trying to sell the play for a second there. The squad, they're going to opt to go for the Scuttler instead. And a look towards the Herald. With all the Void Grubs gone, the next case is, well, we're still strong. We still got that item spike over our opposition. Let's force them into another skirmish, and let's see if we can win this one more convincingly.
Emphis does have the Lich Bane, so we'll see if he just wants to hit this bot tower and trade. He also does have access to the TP, so he's able to come to this fight if they want to, but it looks like they are leaning towards bot and they're just looking to trade away as much gold as they can. Yeah,
quite happy just to pick up this one. Plates have disappeared now, but they're going to be happy to say you can get your Herald. That's probably going to get a tower. This evens it up to make it a 1-for-1 in that regard. We're going to have to sacrifice any control of our lane states as well. This will be interesting though. Cassandre up against Yone. Who wins in that one, given that these two are the most fed in the game right now? We'll hold that for a second because Katsuri's running away from his own tower. Airball from Doraemon, it doesn't matter. The job was to remove him from the tower. They've certainly done that, and that tower's fallen too.
Yeah, this is just really well played from Ion. They're executing on the fact that like they're playing 3 lanes right now, which is like really greedy to do against such a like good engaged comp when you're down summoners. We're talking about how Direwolves will be able to punish flashes, but Ion is the one that punished the flash on Katsuri.
Which is clean, right? Given that you were saying how much of an opportunity Direwolves had to try and capitalize on that, the fact that Ion were able to find a play amongst it all and even out any kind of play is a massive boost for them. No knockback this time, no drag for River to try and find as a result. He's going to be stuck to his wins, which is chilling here. And having a bit of an awkward matchup, I suppose, with his itemization into this one.
Yeah, you might think that like, oh, K'Sante, like he has a magic resist item, it's like not a good matchup for him, but like Yone is pretty much like 60-40 like physical magical damage anyway, so he's going to be okay with this item in this scenario, even though like you would assume a bulk Yone would be bullying out a tank right now. K'Sante is just built different.
Yeah, he's a bit of a powerhouse. Bit of a unit, that one. And it doesn't really matter how many seasons go by. The champion still remains to be a copy pasta that everybody loves to spam on through. Crucible actually going to come out here from the Lulu. So now they've got a second cleanse available. I say a second cleanse. The only cleanse in the game available to themselves to try and utilize to break the trend, which is the amount of CC that Ion have. They have a bunch of it. Not to mention the zoning control that this Nature's Grasp will provide in these last 2 big fights. Next Dragon in 30 seconds. And Direwolves already making big moves towards it by, first of all, getting control, and then planting all this vision in the bottom river.
Talking about bot lane builds, it's like Katsuri just have the KFC variety bucket right now. Like he hasn't completed any items. He's kind of building a bit of everything. So we'll see if they do want to fight us when he's sitting on so many components. But I think the Crucible is a good pickup because someone can just face tank that Maokai ult for him. He doesn't have to put himself in a dangerous position, and he can just instantly cleanse them and get him out of it.
Yeah, looking at Katsuri's build, it just reminds me of playing TFT like a fast 9 game where I'm just sitting on components. I'm just waiting for that next carousel to come around before I suddenly say, okay, I'm actually scaling. I'm not actually just taking like 8 unit losses per round now. So we'll see what he decides to complete first. But
where's the glove?
Well, that's it. You know, right now he's just getting absolutely scammed by Pandora's items.
We'll see if Zerbi does want a TP early, if he's going to take the start. He is going for the TP early, so they are locking in for this team fight.
Certainly are. All groups up and ready for this one. Could this be a defining moment in this first matchup? Dragon has been engaged like it was before by Direwolves. Are they going to peel away from this one? You'd have to imagine so. River isolated on his own, but not a care is shown towards 5 members running towards him. Shojovi engages, starts off with the Blade of the Rune King, says let's have at it. The Moonlight Vigil goes out, Doraemon in trouble, his shield comes across, but he flashes, and he still burns on down. The Dragon denied, picked up by Ion. Phone has done that one for himself, and then in jumps Shobi once again, finding another kill. Add that one to the tally. He'll be happy about that for sure. Foreigner still soaking up a world as he jumps on in and says we'll take down another. Shobi sitting on a double, a flash from Shen Xuan as Xemphis is forced to run to the hills. He's already burnt that Spirit Rush. He doesn't have much left in the tank. And I'll have to concede Dragon and the team fight.
These bubbles do not miss. Hexflash is landing so many crucial bubbles in these team fights, which are just completely swinging how it's going. It's making it very easy for his team to be able to play and do DPS. Like, once again, we're just seeing like the item difference coming from the 80 carries right now. Like, if Katsuri had access to any items there, maybe it was a different team fight, but the fact that this Lucian just has so much pocket damage coming out of like the Nami buffs, plus these bubbles which enable him to just do so much damage is like the reason why these fights look so easy.
Yeah, I mean, we started off initially with Xemphis jumping in for a charm. They think they found her, overlap with the Moonlight Vigil. They can't get the kill. Doraemon is taking such a long time to fall on down that they've overcommitted, and by that point, you're just seeing that these bruisers are just cycling through CDs. Hexflash, full HP, not a care in the world, just sitting from the back line and making sure that, yeah, more members will fall on down as a result. Good bubble.
Yeah, just like, honestly really well played. I think that this team fight is executed well by Ion. It's just like, you go in, you flash out, you did your job, you get out of the fight so you don't die. Like, it's just very clean team fighting.
Been impressing me. It's certainly a case of them really continuing the good work that they did in week 1 up against Fury. It's a statement to be made that this is no longer a fluke. I mean, we already said it in game 2. This is pretty convincing how they're doing it, and they're certainly giving Direwolves a good test, and I suppose making our power rankings look like they're in a complete disarray. Xemphis jumping in once again. Can they get the 1v2? Or Jovi just feel different. I didn't say 1v2. How about making a 1v3? There is the Fate Seal. There's the Wild Growth. Lisa, how has he not fallen down?
Well, that feels very good as Direwolves. Like, that guy is extremely strong right now, and being able to find that shutdown is so important.
Crazy. Crazy set of circumstances there. Even with the shield bow, it wasn't enough. He thought perhaps he does this. Perhaps he finds his way out of this dire, dire situation. But look, it's not to be the case here. And they'll have to settle for second best. But it's gold they needed. Gold they'll certainly take. And definitely now we look towards, well, these teams are just being AFK, waiting for objectives to try and force their hand. How will Ion look to try and draw Direwolves in for this Baron?
I mean, I don't think Direwolves will really look for Baron. It's like extremely risky, and it's not something you want to do based on this game state. They're probably just gonna like farm, play for picks since they have like such a strong side laner. Wait for this next dragon to spawn. Like one of the saving points for Direwolves is the fact that they do have 2 dragons, so like they have a lot of time before this game hits breaking point, and maybe Affiliates can hit some more items. You know, finally hit that point where he's just gunning people down with these gun cycles. But we'll have to see.
What would you say then? Like, it's a bit of an awkward timing, I suppose, with the item mismatch. Like, surely Iron have so much control, despite them being up by nearly 4k. As Direwolves, what are you thinking? Like, we can't keep getting drawn into these team fights, or is it the classic Oath recipe? Just keep fighting until one works.
Well, the thing is, like, if I'm Ion here, like, we're locked in with our items. Like, I want to play on 2 lanes. Like, we don't need to farm. We just, like, want to abuse how strong we are compared to you guys right now. And Direwolves are kind of forced to answer that because it's like, I don't want to give all my jungle camps. I don't want to, like, lose towers. Like, you don't want to be playing on 3 lanes against a team who is just, like, so insanely strong that they have avenues to dive you.
We saw how it already got punished, right, when Iron had no flashes available to them. They didn't really deter them. They were still going straight at it. And as you said, right, they were playing towards those 3 lanes, and Direwolves maybe a little bit shell-shocked, forced to say, hang on a minute, we're actually running away from our own tower with flashes to try and survive this Herald play. So the lanes are working. Why look to try and switch that one up? Is there a certain point where you look and say, yeah, Emphis and Katsuri can look to try and even this one out? Because I'm still absolutely terrified of the AD and AP carries from Ion.
I think when Affiliates hits 3 items is like when he really comes online. I think that Ari is kind of like a bit behind the clock, like behind tempo compared to Yone. It's just all about the charms at this point. Like I don't think she has the damage to be able to like be that X factor in these team fights.
Look at that, Nebula is actually running straight into. Doesn't care. Shen Chuan is already bullied out. He's flashing in again, saying, yeah, chuck me a blind charm from the bush. Doesn't really bother me. I know what I can get accomplished here, and I mean, that is a scary prospect when you've got a double buffed AD carry, red and blue there for the taking. Given that Baron has spawn, or one of the big changes of Season 14, you can share the love around your entire team, so they all get to experience a little bit of extra damage and sustain. And I mean, when an AD carry can step up in mid lane that confidently, you know they're fitting themselves.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword as we are seeing Jovi being collapsed on here, but I think he is very comfortable in the situation. Actually, no, never mind, there are 5 people coming.
Let's have a look, see what we can try and find on this one. It's going to be a case of him getting absolutely knocked left, right and center, but Jovi's such a raid boss! It'll take more than him to try and fall on down. He's taking on your entire team! And nearly took out Lisa. This guy is a fortified boss, he's a tyrannical boss, he is a weapon.
Yeah, this is just a bit of like the new to competitive mindset thing. It's just like, you shouldn't be, you really don't want to be getting caught when your team is trading. And Direwolves is looking to start the Baron here. They are down 2 ultis, so we'll see. I'm pretty sure Iron is comfortable navigating this 4v5, but like we'll have to see.
50% already. Time is ticking away, and they are without their star mid laner for another 20 seconds. Will have TP available, but will it be too little too late? It seems to be the way. Tidal Wave, Nature's Grasp, and the twisted advance afterwards as they look to try and find everything they can on towards Lisa to deter them from having a smite advantage in that 5v4. But even then, Telly, Direwolves walk away.
Yeah, that's good trigger discipline, honestly. Like, I don't know, they don't have to go on there. Like, the Baron is doing the job for them. They just have to sit there and make sure that, like, when they try to turn, like, we don't die. And they didn't have to blow any summoners as well, so, like, good job to cover for the mistake that Jovi made earlier.
Malignant and Collector now coming through as the second item spikes then for the likes of both Emphis and Katsuri. Nice little pickup. You already mentioned you'd expect to see that one from Katsuri. What do you think about Malignant? I mean, I feel like it's a pretty strong item overall. A lot of champions seem to like it. One of the new ones picked up in this new season.
I think that a lot of the time you see champs building it just for the ultimate haste passive, and not so much the pools of damage that it drops. There are like certain champions like Anivia and Swain who synergize like really well with the pool damage.
Yep.
But it's just a really nice item, especially on Ari, because like she's so ult dependent, and with her ult being like such low cooldown already, like being able to cycle that pretty much every like 30-40 seconds is like very nice on a champ who has one-shot potential.
Absolutely, having it available for every kind of situation rather is going to be very impactful. Kypis, I guess in a way, almost like it's paying a tax for having your flash down. You're like, well, I can just get this back in 30 seconds. You know, I'll give it a try. I'll see what I can try and find. Which, speaking of, let's have a look at top lane. Solemn Bound going to rip on back and River. I mean, did he take a scratch? He hasn't taken any damage at all.
Mentally, he didn't take any damage. You see that big shield? You're like, I'm full health. That's all that matters.
Oh, sad times when you're really fed. Yone's unable to try and find what he's after. Crescent Guard goes out, explosive cast from afar. It's expired, and same might be his fate, but no, he flashes away from that bubble, which was going to be a lot of trouble, even without Zoe being in this one. Self-cast of the ultimate there from the Ludus, making sure that he's not going to fall on down. And it means, once again, Iona is searching for trouble, finding some damage, and forcing out pressure.
Really nice from Chenchuan there to hold the Crucible and tool the Maokai roots and not just use it on the ulti. Able to escape there. As we see Ion start the Baron here, and they're abusing the fact that they forced Direwolves today.
Certainly did. What can they find now? DP is coming on through. They're going into the darkness, into the unknown. As they look to see, is it too little too late? It certainly is. The Baron's already gone. Foreign has picked it up. Ion are strong. They've got two Infernal Dragons, and they've got the damage, but Jovi's already dead. This time for 50 seconds, Tally. He's out for so long. Moonlight Vigil comes across, and now Aphelios does damage. Nebula's forced to run for the hills. They've lost two Baron buffs already, but how many more will they lose? Emphis agonizingly close to landing that flash charm. It doesn't work, but Nebula underneath his tower says, we will persevere, and he gets one. They'll take two, and that's Direwolves in the back for his Foreigner. In their face is forcing Ludu to reconsider his life decisions. Another self-cast the ultimate, not to be deterred as Nebula. Double summon is burnt, but still going forward with no mana left. The last bit used on a dash, and another double kill found. Look how much work that Lucian did.
I was about to say how well Direwolves were navigating this fight, but Nebula has just turned around a very hard situation with that Nami ult. Like, really well played to him. I think that like he's doing a really good job to put out DPS in these really clutch situations. Like, it's really cool to see such like a confident rookie.
Right back on the replay once again. It all starts off initially with Jovi jumping in, try and buy space more than anything is what it kind of reveals to me. But then the fact they're able to peel this one away and still remain calm enough to say, yeah, we can re-engage if they overextend this certain point, is clutch for me.
Yeah, this is just like a bit of teamfight discipline, or like when you like split up like this and you miss your CC, like you can't just like run into such a strong carry right now. Like, he's able to put out so much damage and just completely turn around this fight. Like, really well played to the Ion bot lane here. Incredible stuff there. And as you already rightly mentioned, Hexflash showing an absolute banger here on this Nami. He's not missing anything when called upon. He's told to do one thing, and that is pop off. And I tell you what, he's carrying from the support position. That is for sure. As you can see, as we come out of this replay, we're back into another pause, unfortunately, this time for a different series. But look, you're getting the full experience here being back in Os. Yeah, a bit of a breather, you know. Oh, as you can see in that team fight, I think that like that's evident of like how Yone plays into like the Ahri Lulu. Like, you kind of like, you want to dive in, but you get hit by like that charm polymorph combo. You find it really hard to get out, and like you get, even though the DPS from Direwolves isn't that strong, like he just pretty much got blown up in one rotation. So we'll have to see if he's able to navigate the next fight.
It wasn't the ideal fight, you'd have to say, for either team there, despite them both having a bit of back and forth. But do you think that a fight really gets much better than that for Direwolves? I mean, the gold leaders just continue to get away from them. If they're able to push waves being at an even state, I mean, imagine with a Baron buff for another minute and after this much gold too.
Yeah, I think that like the team fights will only be as good as they get when one of the frontliners dive in and overextend and just like get blown up by the charm, Aphelios damage, and then Zinzal's able to split up the rest of the fight. It's pretty much like how Direwolves want to play these fights. And like Ion, with their like bot lane being so strong, kind of have free reign of how they want to play fights. Like, they can front to back and win with like 1 DPS. They can flank. They can pretty much have access to whatever they want. Especially with like triple Infernal, like their damage is insane right now.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to look forward to that Infernal Soul being picked up after that, and you're thinking they have too much damage already. I mean, maybe a big reason why you can see Jovi going for the Iceborne Gauntlet. It just rings bells to when we saw the old builds of what last season. We had like Sunfire Capes into Blade of the Rune Kings. You're thinking, it's a tank Yone. What is with tanks? Well, just tank builds, I suppose, and still putting out criminal amounts of damage. He's going to try and survive through all the harassment he receives. And there is still going to be a fair bit of it, right? It's not to discount what Direwolves are working their way towards. Still, third item is being looked at here for Katsuri, but Nebula, and he's on a He's in a different stratosphere right now. Untouched, perfect KDA. That bot lane of Ion, it's just straight winning at life.
I do want to touch on the Crypt Bloom from Doraemon as well. I think like two things, like this item is very underrated, and to like, since he's not that strong, he's had access to more of a supportive item. Like popping that heal in the middle of the team fight is going to do a lot, and as it scales with like your AP as well, like the further this game goes on, the stronger it's going to be.
I'm curious about that one, right? Because when I've seen people discuss it, they've said that, you know, it's a cheaper item to build, it's got a better build path to get towards it as well, which makes the components nicer. The utility haste is good, and like who really cares about the slight bit of extra void power? Penetration you can get from the void stuff, rather.
Yeah, I think in general, Crypt Bloom is better than void in like almost every scenario. Like I doubt you're gonna find someone with enough magic resist in a game for like the extra penetration to like make that difference. Like maybe if you're playing like a triple AP top side or something, but also if you have a draft like that, like you should dodge jam select.
You probably made a mistake in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see that Crypt Bloom come into effect, right? And just heals going around. You're saying, yeah, guys, I'm supporting here, but I'm also actually a laner. I'm carrying. It's some of these items have actually just, yeah, they've come into the meta and instantly become a fan favorite, right? You're seeing a whole bunch of them already here. But now I'm terrified because an Infinity Edge is being picked up as a 4th item here for Jovi. Bang on 30 minutes. I feel like this game is very much decided in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely think the next team fight decides the game, especially like with Yon hitting like his capstone item pretty much in the IE. He can like choose to go with a defensive, or probably as a defensive, but maybe an offensive item in his next purchase. But I don't think the game will be going that long.
No, it doesn't certainly seem to be that way based on the sort of trajectory we're staring down at. Looking at the Baron then is where we're going towards. The lanes have to be attended to. Now, this is the really good thing that Iron are doing, right, is they've got all these lanes crashing at once, and Direwolves are completely stuck in mid lane, saying we must gain control of this at any cost. But bot and mid, rather bot and top, are completely being smashed at, and means Jovi saying, well, who's coming at me? I've got all my items, all my levels. No one can 1v1 me, let alone 4v1 me.
This is where I want to see the discipline from Ion, because like Jovi can just sit bot lane and wreak havoc, and I want to see Ion not put their 4 in a position where they're going to get engaged on. I think that Direwolves is the one that has to either like start the Baron as 5 and like make Yon TP, or they have to gank this Yon and get Baron. Like, it's really hard for them to navigate this scenario where like you're losing side lane and like you don't have vision of the objective. But we'll see like what they want to prioritize.
It's a tough decision either way, because look at the warding that Iron have done to try and protect those angles and avenues towards finding those massive dives to take out those side lane threats. Easy said than done. We're panning across a lot of it right now. You can see it's just so easy for them to look at. But either way, Direwolves start staring in the darkness. It's just see a lane, push a lane, but stay grouped as 5 and anticipate the inevitable, which is a massive team fight with a Baron to take or a soul point to look at in the next 60 seconds.
Jovi is opting the group here, which is odd, but it still works because I think they have such a big strong gold lead with them face-checking Iron right now. Like he has a really good flank position.
He's going to go into the meantime. Jovi goes in, instant flash away. That's the soul unbound being absolutely dodged out of. He's having none of it. Look at the culling. Frontline Nebula does not care. Face tanking it is. The Xin Zhao with the Crescent Guard active to try and immune all that damage to turn around the Moonlight Vigil. It's only on to 1, but an in jumps Jovi once again. He still has to flash, and despite dropping low, doesn't feel the need to burn it. Nobody falls on down. Bit of a taster of what's perhaps to come as a whole bunch of summoners are burnt. Multiple flashes used, and now we might get the real deal.
It's very interesting. Like all these ults are going down and no one's dying. So much damage coming out of Nebula's ulti there, and like I think it's really well played from Direwolves to be able to like navigate the disengage there and not fall down to Ion as they throw out pretty much every ultimate in their arsenal.
Really teasing is Nebula saying, will you catch me? Do I have the reaction to try and dodge any kind of play that you throw towards me? Dodging out of any grasp that Cassante might throw towards me. Still got that flash available. That could be the deciding factor in this upcoming team fight. In jumps Jovi once again, betting some attention. And attention he gets because he's hit 5 members. The charm just out of range to Nebula once again. Just a basic ability to dash out of that one. And Foreigner knows all we have to do is start at this dragon, keep them engaged, and put them on a timer. And that timer, I tell you what, Direwolves are not winning.
Yeah, and he's even able to steal away the reds. A bit of a consolation prize as well. They're going to go across to the Baron. I think this is just completely gone. Like, Direwolves have run out of gas. Ion is like still like foot on the pedal. They're in a very comfortable position. They're going to base as well after this objective, spend their gold. Might even see like a bit of full builds coming out. We'll have to see.
Certainly
That
working
was-
our way towards
is
trying to have like,
walking
the
in
longest
there.
game so far, isn't it? I mean, what was our strongest before this one? I have to double check. I think it was a long Direwolves game before at 36 minutes. Well, that's fast approaching it, but might not be for much longer if this game ends in a second. Nebula flashing forward aggressively. He wants that kill onto Emphis. He's not going to find it. However, in goes the Fate Field once again. Everybody hop aboard the train to delete Cassante, and 5 members have got it done.
Yeah, honestly, surprising that Direwolves had to contest that. They probably felt that it was like a do or die moment. Lisa needs to get that Baron or it's just GG. I feel like I agree with him. I think that like this push, if not the base into next push, is going to be the end.
But it's looking like it. They are staring down a barrel of a loaded gun, and that's telling them that it's time to go next. It's looking towards game number 2 here because gold lead no longer a factor. You just look at the differences in their inventories, and Iron are well ahead. Not to forget, that's a Baron buff team with 4 Infernal Drakes to their name. So even this supporting style Gragas is enough to try and take you out of the equation very early on. They'll open up the mid and hip. They'll put some attention towards bot. I said his name.
Bomber!
And it's almost like you speak to a mirror. You say it 3 times, he summons a bomber, he gets you killed.
Always love to see Gragas combos. It's just a quick replay of Lisa going over the wall into a bubble and just instantly dead.
Mistakes were made.
Unfortunately, the culling here doesn't finish off Emphis as Nebula just commit absolutely everything in his arsenal to try and get in there, but it actually even goes to show how tanky Cassante is getting hit by the entire team here and just still taking so long to die.
It's just a bit of a flex, really, isn't it? It's how long you can live and say, look how fed I was, guys, if only we had the ability to actually make it matter. There is the Guardian Angel actually coming out now for Nebula, protecting that perfect KDA. I think it really says it all, though, when he's not under enough threat to actually burn the flash defensively, that he can actually use it to try and kill steal away from his teammates as they convincingly take that Baron.
Yeah, this is a really scary position to be in. Like, you have double full builds on the carries, plus 4 Infernal Dragons versus like 3.5 items on the enemy team. Like, the amount of DPS these two are going to be putting out in this next team fight is going to be insane.
But if nothing more, this must be the most fun games to have as a pro player when you're this far ahead and you know you got everybody watching you at home and you can say, did you see that? Yeah, that was a pretty satisfying win, wasn't it? I'm sure you've been in a few of those situations yourself.
I know, like, if I'm Nebula here, I'm just thinking about getting the biggest culling damage I can in my life.
Does it ever run through your mind, like, I could look to try and make a montage play now? Is it always like, stick to the job, get this win?
I think in, like, game states like this where it's just like, you win, no matter what, it's like, yeah, I can do something real crazy in a second.
Let's see if that crazy thing does, in fact, ever decide to pop its head. They found themselves that second inhibitor. Working on that third now is Jovi on his own sim, but the rest of his team, as a 4-stack, is grouped up in the mid, making sure all these minions receive that beautiful little Baron buff, which is just about to expire now, and could work in towards those Nexus turrets. As soon as that one falls on down, out does the damage onto Shenxuan. I mean, he's so low, nearly falling on down, but that first turret does get deleted. The second one now being looked at as the cannon minions are doing the job for them. They're all grouped up. They're waiting for that next wave to come in, and this might be the play. This is Direwolves' last stand before they look towards that second game. Jovi jumping in, Emphis receiving the wild growth, dashing away, waiting to try and get a little bit of HP before he comes back into the fight of things. Crit Bloom topping them up. Was there ever any doubt? Iron are so topped up in health, and it is so much damage. That's the laser fountain. That is the saving grace here for Direwolves. That's the only way they'll get any kills, as Iron cleaned it out at 38 minutes.
Honestly, really well played to Ion. I think that like they had a game plan, they got their favorable bot lane, they got them ahead, and they were able to run over these team fights. It's just honestly really cool to see the plays that we had eyes on in Jovi and Nebula perform really well.
They certainly were the ones to keep your eyes on, and they've stuck to their guns and showed why they are the real deal. That was our longest game so far, very early on into the split. Let's see if Iron can run it back with a perfect 2-0.